The Chronicon, Part 2. Entry 702, recorded by Scribe Shagog. So perplexed was the Emperor by the failure of his shadows that he spent many hours meditating with his advisors on what happened. His advisors made many misguided attempts to soothe him, fearful that wrath lay below the calm surface of his demeanor. On one such day, the Emperor met with his advisors, Tluark and Lahali, who clumsily derided Gaul's crude brutality in hopes of cheering him. Spake the generous and compassionate Emperor. Gaul has risen above his own past. That, at least, is admirable. Lahali, do you think, after all I've seen, I am heartbroken by such a tiny thing as failure? No, I am weary. I have combed this whole universe for someone who truly merits a seat at my table. Just one creature who might partially comprehend the gravity of my mission. One creature brave enough to test their might and their mind on me. One creature worthy of supping on my perfect flesh, and I have not found them. As the Emperor spoke to his cringing advisors, his beautiful face smooth with a preternatural calm, a messenger ran into the room to address him, bowing contritely and begging his forgiveness. Crawling across the floor in supplication, the messenger announced that Dominus Gaul had been killed in the Sol system by a person of the Guardian tribe. At this, I myself saw a renewed light spark in the Emperor's eyes, and saw his face light up like a sun. Find them, he told the messenger. Find me this hero, and we will go to them. He turned to Tluark and instructed him to set a course to the Sol system. Then, he commanded Lahali to prepare his other automatons, the robotic creations made in his likeness of the great Emperor, which were built to set that his joyful majesty might be able to watch himself in many unique situations. The Emperor did not specify why the automatons should be prepared, but there was such joy in his voice that his advisors made no objections. Entry number 789, recorded by Scribe Exult. What follows is an unsent letter to the hero of the Guardian tribe, as dictated by the great Emperor Callus himself. Ah, Lightborn! What a joy it has been to watch you. When I invited you aboard my Leviathan the first time, it was an exceptional pleasure to see you go through a test I had designed myself. It was uniquely suited to your talents, I would later realize, though that wasn't my intention. Just a happy trick of fate that the talents I sought were those that you possess. When you shut the cup from my automaton's hand, ha ha, Guardian, my soul lit up with longing. And when my beautiful ship was invaded, twice, in fact, by the vex-mind Argos, and later by the hateful Valkor, these visits were not so predictable. You navigated the dangerous particularities of my lovely home with such grace and enthusiasm. But more than anything else that delighted me, your enthusiasm for a challenge. Watching you leap nimbly through my reactor, seeing you lead your team in perfect synchrony against the jealous Valkor, how it all tickled me. These exploits drew me to you. They inspired me to fashion you a chalice of your very own, that you might drink deeply of my royal blood and be enriched. And I knew the attraction was mutual, for you leapt headfirst into my menagerie. You took my every gift. You answered my every challenge. That day you gallantly slew Galran, golden chalice in hand. That was the day I truly knew we were meant to be together. I am ensnared by you, Guardian. I wish to possess you as my own until the end of existence. Entry number 807, forthcoming. Recorded by Scribe Shagak. On the day the hero of the Guardian tribe became the Shadow of Earth, the great emperor ordered a magnificent banquet to celebrate. The finest royal wine was served to all, along with a great feast of delicacies from both Tarabatul and from Earth. The evening began with a light first course and plate put on by the Leviathan's performance troupe, which retold a fictionalized account of Ghaul's defeat. The Shadow of Earth sat at Callus's right during the performance and loudly applauded the finale of the show, where the player portraying Ghaul, Tor Trakal, was killed in a great blaze of fire and light. After the performance, while the troupe removed the body of the Trakal from the stage, a second course was served, and the Emperor's Master of Rhyme recited a poem in honor of the Shadow of Shadows, praising their accomplishments and the virtues of the great Emperor that allowed him to choose them so rightly. A third course was served, and while the Emperor's psionic dancers performed the celebratory ribbon dance, after the third course was finished, and everyone had applauded, the Emperor rose to deliver a speech. This is a great day for the Cabal Empire, for Earth, and for you, my dear friend. Today, Earth casts a shadow. Do you know how long I've waited for you? Of course you do. We are connected, you and I, by a feeling of thirst. Of thirst for pleasure, mastery, and triumph. For life. And now that we are together, we will spread the great and terrible news. We will remind all beings nothing else exists aside from this moment, and so one must strive to live in a state of rapture, to minimize pain, and to maximize delight, to let go of the ideologies that tie us down. You represent the dawning of a new era, the last era before the end. I will have you at my side as this pretty world meets death. Entry number 1112, forthcoming. Recorded by Scribe Shagak. Spake the great emperor to his Shadow of Shadows. Go forth and gather a new army of shadows. Choose only the most beautiful, the most devoted, the most joyful, and the most skilled. I know you will find them, for you look at this world as I do. We see beyond the tethers of impermanent existence. All of our vows, our wishes, and our loyalties will someday be reduced to a nothingness so vast you cannot imagine it. This system is plagued by petty grasping. Humanity wages a pointless war against its enemies. Mara Sov keeps her people in an endless struggle against fate, and the Elixni strive for a lost age far out of their reach. Expose their pointless attachments, my shadow, and in doing so, free them. On this day, the great Emperor Callus, bringer of joy, champion of cheer, announces the long-anticipated formation of his new army of shadows. The Shadow of Earth, having set out on a quest at the behest of the Emperor, began by shattering the remaining Elixni houses in search of new recruits. There were few promising contenders among the factions, so that the Shadow ended nearly all interactions with a merciful show of violence to save these creatures the shame of meeting the end of times in such a sorry state. One promising upstart stood out with the Elixni tribe, called by his allies as Mithrax, the Light Kel, whom the Shadow of Earth promptly took on as a protege. Together, the Shadow and Mithrax eliminate the Elixni who remained loyal to their pathetic houses. Secondly, the Shadow of Earth approached the awoken queen, Mara Sov, who styled herself Shipbreaker, to offer her the same mercy shown to the Elixni. As anticipated by both the Emperor and his Shadow, Mara Sov rejected the offer of peace, and so the Shadow of Earth killed her on her throne. After the unceremonious death of her queen, the former Queen's Wrath, Petravenge, joined with the Shadow of Earth and swore fealty to the Emperor Callus and his great purpose. Together, Petravenge and the Shadow eliminated any remaining awoken loyalists. We welcome these new shadows to our noble quest. They have dropped the pretenses of their former lives, abandoning their pointless fixations and allegiances, and for this, we celebrate them. Entry number 1117, forthcoming, recorded by Scribe Exult. The Shadow of Earth, having found a small but formidable team of allies in the shadows of the MCXII and of the Awoken, professed to the Emperor that, in order to move forward with their quest to usher in the end of the world, the new Shadows must reclaim some of the lost knowledge of the Empire's Athenian worlds. The Emperor rightly agreed and approved of this excursion. What follows is an account of the reclamation of the Athenian World X. The Shadows of Earth, of the MCXII and of the Awoken arrived on the ice planet that held Empress Callus' Athenian World X, the name of which has been lost to time. This planet, being a repository for precious and ancient knowledge collected by the Emperor, was chosen for its hostile environment, which served as a built-in defense system for intruders and thieves. En route to the planet's inner sanctum, where the Athenian world's knowledge was kept, the Shadows were stalked by an undocumented species of indigenous wildlife, whose natural capabilities as a predator proved unexpectedly debilitating to the companion soul of the Shadow of Earth. The Shadow, being symbiotically reliant on its companion soul, was thus weakened, and the trio was forced to bivouac in a place beneath a great monolith as the storm fell upon them. The creatures, who so far had lurked at the edges of the party's vision, crept closer under the cover of the storm, which grew ever stronger, and then executed a stealth attack. Thus began a bloody battle, wherein the three Shadows fought back half a dozen creatures with modest succession, and wherein the Shadow of the MCXII fell in combat. Said the Shadow of Earth of this sacrifice later, "He knew the stakes of our mission, and gladly offered his life to help us complete it. This is the sacrifice we Shadows are willing to make." It was then that the Shadows of Earth and of the Awoken were able to access the inner sanctum, revealing hundreds of years of lost knowledge, which was reclaimed for the great Emperor Callus and his loyalists. The scribe employed at this future date shall include additional detail here when the lost secrets of this and other Athenian worlds are recovered. Delete this footnote upon actualization of this history.